and welcome to the CNBC TV 18 special on bad debt. The Indian banking sector has been grappling with bad assets over the last few years, and the Reserve Bank of India's asset quality review forced banks to recognize some of that pain. As a result, the gross NPAs of the Indian banking sector have crossed 7 lakh crores as of March 2017. Now, what is the outlook for the Indian banking system going forward from here? One of the world's top rating agencies, Moody's Investor Service, and its Indian affiliate, ICRA, in their latest report say the capital profile of banks is only set to worsen and the asset quality outlook remains weak. To discuss that further, we have two special guests with us, Alka Anbarasu, Vice President and Senior Analyst at Moody's Investor Service, and Karthik Srinivasan, who is the Group Head Financial Ratings at ICRA. Alka and Karthik, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC. Before we delve into your report, I'd like to first ask you, just how deep is this problem? You know, we've been talking about non-performing assets building up over the last couple of years. Is it as bad as, say, you know, what we saw in the late 1990s, or are we better placed here?
I think it's not right to compare those two eras. They're completely different, you know, in terms of quantum and the size of not only the NPAs, but also the bank balance sheets and the asset size today. Today, the challenges, I would say, is bigger because, you know, we are seeing challenges not only on the asset quality front, but also on the capital. So when you put the two together, you know, the challenges do look far higher than what one saw in the early 90s.
But Alka, if you were to compare, you know, seeing non-performing assets also in relation with what the capitalization levels are, compared to the early era that I'm talking about when we saw asset quality peak to what we're seeing now, how different is the situation?
So on the capital front, I think Karthik alluded the capital problem is far significant. The other issue is that the banks don't have access to external capital. So for them, the capital can only come in from the government. And for us, the policy clarity from the government is not there in terms of how the capitalization will happen and how these whole challenges would be resolved going forward. In this context, also the Basel III norms are kicking in as well, and greater capitalization is required of the banks. So that also puts pressure on their overall profile.
But Karthik, give us a sense, you know, you interact with banks regularly, you have a first-hand report. The reported stressed asset figures are about 11%. Now we saw, you know, because of the Reserve Bank of India's guidelines on reporting divergences, some of those banks were under-reporting and have come out and reported higher numbers, say in the annual reports. How large is the problem at hand at the moment?
You know, our estimate that we've been stating over the last couple of quarters, when we look at stressed assets, we do look at the reported numbers, reported NPAs, the reported standard restructured, 525 STRs and others. Our assessment is that the overall stress in the banking system would be closer to about 15–17%. You know, a year back, our estimate was probably a percentage or two lower. Now it's broadly been in that 15–17% for the last couple of quarters. So to that extent, you know, while the reported NPAs tend to be an upward sloping graph, we believe that the overall stressed asset numbers are possibly, you know, more stable. The only issue out there is since the credit growth is not happening, you know, if we really look only at the percentages, it still continues to give a scary picture.
Okay, you know, going into the report that you've just released, Karthik, again, back to you. You said the asset quality outlook remains weak. Tell us why you say that.
We're saying it remains weak for a couple of reasons. One, we still see slippages continuing in the current financial year. Might be lower than what we've seen in the last 2 years, but nevertheless, it'll still be quite high if we were to look at the historic numbers. Part of the reason is we had these STR cases in the past which had a standstill clause of 18 months. So for majority of them, that 18-month standstill clause expires in the current year. Thanks to the RBI regulation, we think some of it has got upfronted in the March 17 announcements itself. But otherwise, the NPAs level should continue to remain high, but not as high as in the past in the current year. And the other big reason is, you know, resolutions are happening at quite slow pace for whatever reason. So, you know, we're seeing additions to the NPA basket, but not really seeing reductions happening from there. And that's really the reason why, and with the passage of time, as the, you need to increase your provisioning cover on those accounts. So what's really happening is the credit cost is going to remain high and continue to drag on the profitability.
I'll try to get some more numbers from you on what the problem because of SDR specifically is. But before that, Alka, give us a sense of the capital profile of the banks. Under Indradhanush, 70,000 crores was promised, out of which 20,000 crores will be given over the next few years. This is clearly not enough.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's something that we are also mentioning, that of the remaining 20,000 crore or 200 billion rupees that's remaining, in fact, based on our assessment, and we rate 11 public sector banks, the largest 11 public sector banks, the capital needs are as high as 750 billion to 900 billion rupees. The capital kitty that the government has promised is only 200 billion rupees. And this, in fact, does not even assume rapid credit growth. The 700 odd billion number that we have in terms of capital needs only assumes 7% loan growth in the system. So clearly the capital need is significant, particularly in the context if the economy needs to grow at that 7% rate that we are all expecting, because banking sector is the key channel for channelizing credit in the economy as well.
Forget about credit growth for a minute. Just to clean up the bad assets that these banks have been sitting with, how many years of, say, operating profit would they have to forego if they were to complete the process of recognizing everything and providing for it?
Sure. So I think if credit growth is, say, 0 to 2%, or say there's some banks are not growing their loan book. In fact, in the last year, we saw that banks, in fact, cut out their loan books as well, degrew. If even that happens, we think that over a 2-3 year period, some of these banks may be able to come out of this challenge using their own operating profit. Having said that, but the banks don't have the luxury of this time, because it's the Basel rules that are kicking in. And on top of it, if the banks just wait to do these things at their own end, there's a risk of slippage, that some banks may actually slip into the red category where they may need to maybe default on some instrument or something. So that the risk of slippage is increasing as we are reaching the deadline of the Basel III norms as well.
So of these 11 banks that you're rating, how many of those banks are at risk of slipping?
Sure. So I think in our estimate, even if we assume 0% loan growth over the next 2 years, the Basel III capital norms start increasing. And even with the 0% loan growth, our estimate says that about 5 to 6 banks are at the risk of slipping if they don't get any external capital from the government from here on.
Karthik, again, back to the profitability of banks, which has remained very, very weak because they had to recognize and provide a lot. One of the top bankers we were speaking to very recently said it is not that, as you said, that there's been a significant addition to impaired assets recently. It's just that our way of looking at the problem and the strict rules that we've imposed on recognizing that is a reason why we're seeing very high NPLs. Would you concur with that view?
To an extent, yes. One could have argued that they could have possibly been identified earlier and reported earlier as well. So it's sort of part driven by regulator and part the necessity to at least acknowledge that the problem is there.
So would you say then there are no fresh surprises in store? Because, a lot of the slippages, in fact, from your report I picked up, 86% of the slippages happen outside the restructured book. Yeah. So is that done with, or are there more surprises in store for the banks?
I think we believe most of it is done with, but it's difficult to say that that's the end of it. So that's one of the reasons of our negative view on asset quality in the current year. While we thought that a lot of slippages would happen from the restructured portfolio itself, but then as we've seen, there have been a fair bit of slippages which have happened outside the standard restructure as well. So that does give some concern that the slippages could remain high in the current year, and with credit offtake remaining low, the ability of banks to shore up on their profitability is far lower. Mind you, in FY17, banks did have the benefit of treasury profits, which we're not really sure if you want to get that benefit in this year. So profitability would remain a challenge. Then, if you have to increase the provisioning on specific assets, that only bleeds you further. So the capital requirement goes up from that point of view.
Alka, if you could touch upon the provisioning, at this point of time, how adequately covered are banks? If you just look at the PCR ratios.
So if you look at the PCR ratios, in fact, they have come up in the past year because banks provide on an aging basis. So typically for most public sector banks, at least what we rate, PCR would be in that 55 to 60% range. But the moment you add standard restructured loans, which at least in our view, they are actually impaired loans, the PCR would fall to 40% range. And then there is still a pool of some unrecognized assets. So on a true economic basis, the PCR could be in that 40s odd range. And that we think is low for the resolutions to take place. Because if the banks want to go out and resolve these assets, their PCRs need to come up significantly so that they are able to take some haircuts and move on from these assets as well.
On that note, we'll take a very quick break, but stay with us as we continue our conversation on the other side.